Good morning. Happy Sunday to you folks. My name is Evan Smith. I'm the pastor at Second Presbyterian Church here in downtown Stanton, and I'm coming to you today for your daily Lenten devotional. Today we're looking at the Gospel of John, the 9th chapter. It's the story of a man who was born blind, and I really think it has a lot to say to us today, given everything we're going through. So listen as we read verses 1 through 11. As he, that is Jesus, walked along, he saw a man blind from birth. His disciples asked him, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" Jesus answered, "Neither this man nor his parents sinned. He was born blind so that God's works might be revealed in him. We must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world." When he had said this, he spat on the ground and made mud with the saliva and spread the mud on the man's eyes, saying to him, "Go, wash in the pool of Siloam," which means sent. Then he went and washed and came back able to see. The neighbors and those who had seen him before as a beggar began to ask, "Is this not the man who used to sit and beg?" Some were saying, "It is he." Others were saying, "No, but it is someone like him." He kept saying, "I am the man." But they kept asking him, "Then how were your eyes opened?" He answered, "The man called Jesus made mud, spread it on my eyes, and said to me, 'Go to Siloam and wash.' Then I went and washed and received my sight." In this text, the disciples asked Jesus about this man who had been blind all his life, ever since birth. And they said, okay, is he blind because he sinned or because of something his parents did? Now, this was a pretty common thought at the time, that if you sinned, that sin was going to be taken out either on you or on your children. So here's this guy who's been born blind. So somehow, was it his sin that made him blind, or was it something his parents did? You know, I think when things go wrong, we have this tendency to want to see things that way still. You know, like, oh, they're struggling so because they're not good people. Or, oh, that's what happens when you don't follow the Lord. Or like in the midst of everything that's happening with this coronavirus, I've heard some, and I'm sure you have too, have said, that this virus is God's judgment on us or something like that. And I think this text might speak into some of the circumstances we're going through now, because when the disciples asked Jesus that, because of whose sin was it? They didn't even give him a choice, by the way, of being like, or is it a different option altogether? They just were so certain that it was because of sin that this guy was blind. And Jesus said neither. It wasn't his sin. It wasn't his parents' sin. He was born this way so that God's works would be manifest in him. In other words, he was born this way so that God could work and do something through his life that would not have been possible otherwise. And so what happened? Jesus, he made this mud, he put it on the man's eyes, and then he told the man to go wash the pool of Siloam. And so this guy, blind already, so having the mud in his eyes didn't make him any more blind. He goes to the pool and he washes. And can you imagine that moment? Like you can't see, but as you start to wash away, suddenly your vision comes. And everybody knew this man. They knew who he was. They knew he'd been blind forever. And now he's walking around and he can see. And some are like, it's him. And there are others like, it looks like him, but it's not him. And he's like, no, it is me. I am the man. And so they all want to know, how? How is this possible? How? And he says, Jesus. Jesus did it. Jesus healed me. And so he was blind for this moment of being able to be healed, to give honor and glory to Jesus, to lead people to Jesus. I'm not someone who looks at the coronavirus and says, this is God's plague on us. I'm not someone who looks at it and says, this is God's punishment. But I do believe that God can and will use this to bring glory to himself. That God can and will use this to lead people to know him more, into deeper relationship with him. And I think we're starting to see some of that now. I think that God's going to use some of this to change how we behave as the church. to make our outreach a bit more intentional and a little bit less of a social club and more about fellowship, more about who we truly are called to be as the people of God. And so these are challenging times, but do we have the faith to see how God is working in this moment? And are we able to say, God, use me to bring about your glory? And that is your word for today. Later today at 10:30, there's going to be a live worship service on Facebook Live. Also, it's going to be on our webpage where we're having our normal worship service, but without music. So you'll be able to watch, to go through the call to worship and the confession and all the normal parts, the prayers, and then the sermon. And actually, I'm going to hint in the sermon about some of this idea as well, about how God may be using what we're going through now to bring himself greater glory. And so I look forward to that time, and I really hope that you'll join us for that, either live or catching it later at your own convenience. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. And I'll see you at 10:30. And if not 10:30, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.